Welcome to Bitesize Edge. And today we are speaking with the very fabulous Karen Chamberlain, one of our wonderful Edgeites, the term that we like to call those wonderful individuals who've been through some of our Edge NLP training. Now, Karen runs a business called KC Learning and Development, and she works primarily as a trainer, facilitator, and coach. She's also a mum to twin girls and a very busy businesswoman who is aiming to create a really healthy balance between fitness and work and everything that is to do with well-being. So we're going to have a chat with Karen this morning just about her journey with NLP, and also I'm going to dig a little bit deeper about half marathon that she's recently another one she tells me that she's got coming up. So good morning, Karen. How are you?
Good morning, Jules. I'm very well, thank you. That was a lovely introduction. Thank you.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. So tell us, Karen, tell us a little bit about what was your introduction to NLP and how did you find yourself coming along to do the prep course with Edge?
So prior to coming to the Edge program, I had actually qualified as an NLP practitioner before, and I loved the tools. I started following your page and liked the practical way that you applied different tools, and I just had a real interest in sort of understanding how I could use the tools in a more kind of sort of practical, everyday way for myself, but also for clients. So for me, I saw it as another layer, and it was good to kind of reinvest in myself, in my business, to kind of replay some of the sort of different techniques, but from a very sort of different way of sort of delivering that training. So that was kind of what got my interest initially. Was had already qualified, but had been following. I think Ali had introduced us. And so I'd been, following you. I think you'd also taught me the presentation skills, Jules, as well. I think I attended with you and Pip the previous year. And interestingly, you didn't position that, if I recall, as an NLP program. However, as I sat there and went through it, it oozed NLP, but in a very kind of integrated way, very practical, which was so my kind of learning style and kind of works for me. So I was very much drawn to wanting more.
Fabulous. And were you working as a trainer, facilitator and coach at the time, or did that come afterwards?
Yes, so my business set up in 2011, and previous to that I sort of worked in kind of L&D roles for kind of a number of years. So that's so my kind of investment in NLP started when I started running my own business, and interestingly my initial thoughts were that it would be helpful in particular to clients, and absolutely it is, but it soon showed me that it doesn't stop there, it's much wider than that, and for me personally as an individual, but also as a businesswoman, it just added so many benefits in so many different ways.
And can I ask you, was it a challenge? I'm just thinking, I introduced you and you are a mum to twin girls. So in 2011, your girls, I think they're the same age as my eldest. They're off to secondary school.
They are indeed, yes, next month, yes.
So how did that work with the juggle? Because we know the juggle is absolutely real. You had two to deal with. So in 2011, you set up your business while being a mum to twin girls. Yeah,
it's interesting actually. When I look back now, it hits me more than it perhaps did at the time how kind of big that was. It was huge, the whole setting up your own business. But as I started, I think it hit me very, very quickly that I was quite green, quite naive about the whole running a business side. I was very confident in what I did, and obviously there's always ways to improve on that. But the whole delivery and the facilitation and everything, I've got that. I'm kind of skilled at that. But running a business is a whole different kettle of fish. Going out to seek clients, build those relationships. So that was I think that really kind of struck me quite quickly. Actually, there's much more to this than what I perhaps initially would have thought of. Just from you don't know what you don't know, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe if you didn't know, you wouldn't do it because it would feel scary.
It's like, oh my God, what am I doing? Yes, absolutely. So it was a juggle. And I think part of the challenge there was when you're an employee, you have, or I did anyway, fixed days. So I worked sort of part-time, I worked 3 days a week. And then when I became self-employed, I still wanted to kind of initially start that on a part-time basis. But I think when you run your own business, and that's very clear now, that it's very, very hard to switch off.
Yes,
and that's quite a discipline to do that. And again, that's where I found the NLP tools and mindset being a huge thing, and that self-care to enable me to have boundaries around what's work, what isn't, when am I switching into other kind of distractions, when am I switching them off, all of those elements really. So but it's been a journey, and it continues to be.
Yeah, and now 2011 to 2019, where are you now with everything? I mean, I'm guessing you have much more insight into what you're doing, as in the running the business element to it.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And that's it feels a really good place to be right now. And the business, I mean, when I wrote my blog about my half marathon, kind of running alongside that, I felt, as my confidence grew and as I became clearer about what was working and what wasn't, I noticed those kind of positive changes happening within the business as well. So I'm keen to ensure that growth happens personally but also professionally. And certainly over the last 2 years, the business has gone from strength to strength with regards to that. So that's really, it's been a difficult journey at times, as it is for everybody. And I'm a real reflector as well, and I'm also a firm believer that when you're going through difficult times, things will turn around. And it's kind of learning from those experiences, and there's generally always something you can pull out that you did okay or you did well, even on the perhaps less positive ones. But it's building on that and thinking about, okay, so bringing the strengths into play, and what am I doing and what can I learn from with regards to this.
Yeah, that's a really good mindset to have. So you mentioned there, Karen, quite sweepingly, but I'm going to when you were training for your half marathon. So tell us about that, because I don't believe, and I may be wrong, Karen, I don't believe that you were ever a runner necessarily.
No, and I'm trying to think back to when I went through the NLP training with you. I think it was probably 3 years ago now. I should have checked that before I spoke to you today. Right. But I remember at the time, because there's another lady on it with it, Vicky, and we spoke about running. Yes. And I'd started to, I wanted to kind of bring more exercise into my world, and to be fitter. I've got a very strong why about wanting to be fit and healthy, and around, for my family, that's kind of my sort of draw to it. So I remember then starting to think about, well, how do I make that work? And initially I had this mindset of, how do I fit that in, because life's so busy, as you mentioned, mum of twin girls, primary school, running the business. I couldn't quite work out how on earth do you claw the time through. And then I kind of just took a step back and looked at ways of gradually incorporating small amounts of time into my schedule, one of which actually was a 6 a.m. exercise class, which I thought, well, that's fine, I just get up early. And then it's all done. In fact, I've got a feeling when I was with you on that practitioner, I think one of those mornings I did do my 6 a.m. kind of boot camp session. Do you remember? Yeah.
I do remember. You were really committed to it. You were really your boot camp at the time. Yeah, I do remember it really.
Yeah. And that for me was the start of the journey. I think seeing the results that were coming through from a healthness, from a well-being, from feeling fit, for seeing the changes that were kind of coming through, I just thought, right, I'm going to just keep seeing where I want to kind of take this. I thought about doing a half marathon a few times, but I didn't want to give it too much energy and thoughts. I didn't want it to kind of sort of scare me. So I did allow myself to build up gradually. I set the time frames. If the plan said it would take this and it took me a bit longer, I learned to kind of be kind to myself and chill out a bit and say, that's absolutely fine. Adapt to it. Go at your pace. And that's kind of how it all kind of came together, really.
That's such a, hearing you say that's such an important part, I think, of anything, especially with exercise, this idea of being kind to yourself and adapt, fit what you want to do, because a half marathon is a huge goal to have, and actually can feel, as you've just said, they're quite scary. And we put so much pressure on ourselves, can't we, to complete it in this time, or I've got to get do X amount of running today. And so we can be so hard on ourselves rather than enjoying the journey. We're just constantly moving towards this huge, scary goal. So that's wonderful to hear that that's how you did it. So tell us a little bit about how you increased, because obviously I'm guessing you had to increase mileage and you were out for longer, which maybe took more time out of your day.
I think that continues to be a challenge, but again, I do think mindset's an important thing. So I now know at the weekends at the moment I'm probably going off for a couple of hours, and I've got an amazingly supportive husband, and he's very encouraging, and he's more than happy to kind of hold the fort while I go off and kind of do the fitness stuff. But in the early days, coupled alongside that was me feeling guilty that I was taking time away from family and I was doing other stuff. And again, for me, it's that whole reframing around, why am I doing this? What's it for? What's it giving me? And what's it giving other people? And I do believe it's important to do both of those. And it took me a while to get to that place. I am doing it for others, but I'm also doing it for me. I'm recognizing my girls, they're so proud of me when they see what I achieve, and they see that I work hard. And they were there for the half in March, and it was just, it's amazing. They were so, they kept me going, knowing that they were there to kind of cheer me on, and they'd be there at the finishing line. That was my incentive to kind of, I wasn't going to give up, because it was tough at times. I'd had I wouldn't say it was quite a knee injury, but I think just with the pressure that you put on your body with all the training, my knees were starting to tweak a little bit. And we lost our dog about 3 weeks before the half, which was devastating. So I actually continued to run, but totally forgot about all my knee exercises. So which meant on the day that was quite sort of difficult.
That must have been really hard for the kind of mental strength.
Yes, it was. And it was it would have been kind of really tempting to. Well, it was tempting to say, this is too much right now, because it was a huge, and continues to be, a really devastating blow. And then I had this idea I went out for a short run just to sort of see how I was feeling with everything. And I thought, well, why don't I fundraise in memory of him? And he had a wonderful life, and we were very blessed with him, but there are many animals that don't have that. So I decided to run fundraise for Wood Green Animal Charity, which is kind of a local charity, but they've got a couple of other nationwide sites, and that was amazing. And that gave me the inspiration, and I raised, I think, about £600 within about sort of 10 days leading up to the event. And that was my motivation. And as I started, it was quite emotional, and I thought, right, he was with us for nearly 14 years. There's 13 miles, so every mile. But it's kind of really tough. And even as I talk about it now, it's it kind of, you sort of feel it. But actually, that kind of kept me going. So yeah, I'm sure I'm sure he was proud.
Yeah, of course. And as you say, your husband and your kids were there. And I know
amazing.
Of doing races like that. It is that thing of, they do keep you going. You see in their smiles, and it's a real motivator, isn't it?
Well, that's and I've also learned, actually, because when they sort of saw me about the 8 mile mark, and I was really struggling with my knees, but as soon as I saw them, and a friend came to watch as well, and it was lovely sort of seeing their faces and calling out, and I thought, right, I'm over halfway now, I can do this. They'll be at the finishing line. And what I found more recently, actually, when I went out last weekend, is just trying to split longer runs into different sections as well. So I did 10 miles on Saturday or Sunday, I can't remember, but breaking that into 3 sections, I found that mentally helps, knowing, right, well, that's the first chunk, then I go on to the next one.
That's such a good way of thinking about it, and actually that really helped me massively. I had a phone conversation with my daughter when I was doing the marathon at 16 miles, and I was having a bit of a mental breakdown at that time of going, oh my God, it's still 10 miles to go. And break it down, Mummy, just break it down, make it manageable. I went, God, you're good. And I love it. But it was absolutely right. So as you said that, it's making it more manageable, bite-sized. So that's great that you do that. And so Karen, why were you out running 10 miles at the weekend?
Well, this was a training run in preparation for the next half, which is on the 1st of September.
You've got the bug, have you?
Yeah, I did. And it's funny actually. So many of the girls that I go running with felt a similar thing. Like, what's next? What next? What can we do? So yeah, I don't think it took me too long to sign up for the next one. And I keep thinking, oh, what might be next? What might be next? But I am doing it an event at a time. And for me, on the first, it will be. Well, firstly, it's doing it, but also I'd love to be able to do it in a way where I'm perhaps not stopping as often, because I needed to stop a few times just to walk rather than run. But again, it's interesting because I'm training on my own this time, whereas last time I was training with a group, so that's quite different. And you know, there is benefits in the sense if you can go off whenever, you don't have to kind of book it around other people. But I do miss the company. But at the moment, and I'm hoping this lasts, I'm feeling quite relaxed because I'm very much, it will be what it will be. Go out, enjoy it. You know, I did a 9-mile run the week before and I didn't stop. That was my longest ever without stopping. Last weekend I stopped twice and I thought, but that's fine. If that's what I need to do to stop and eat a jelly baby, because I find it hard to digest sweets and run at the same time.
I agree.
And that's what I need to do. And I'm hoping that I've had it for a while. So I'm hoping that's more of a kind of ingrained way of kind of thinking now. Because that really kind of helps. I want to enjoy it. I know it's going to be tough, and I know, you know, there's probably going to be sort of frustration and tears at times, but you know, it's a choice at the end of the day, and I want to do this, and I want that. It's looking ahead, that kind of, you know, the visualization and imagining what it's going to be like as I go over the finishing line. And I can indulge in some treats for a few days and kind of
course you can.
Milk it a little bit with all the fuss.
Absolutely. That's why we do it, surely. So which half marathon are you doing on the 1st of September?
It's a local one this time. This is in Bedford. Which would be really nice as well, actually. And I've got my friend's husband's running it, so they're coming to stay the night before. He's quite far, so I don't quite think we'll be running it together, but that's all good. We'll do it in our own pace, in our own way. So that'd be nice, because the other one, not as far as you had to travel actually, but my one was Hampton Court, so we involved a stay away the night before, and whereas this one I can just sleep in my own bed and kind of get up and go.
So. Wonderful. Oh well, we wish you so much luck for the 1st of September.
Thank you very much.
Know how you get on.
I will.
Do you think you're going to be using, I mean, you've talked about it anyway, the visualization and the mindset. Do you think, I mean, I suppose it's difficult to know, but through doing your NLP journey and having all of those tools and that toolkit and those resources, do you think that that's really spurred you on to complete your half marathon and go on to do a second one?
I do, because I feel that it gives you tools to feel equipped to be able to do things. So I bring them into play with work for myself, with clients, obviously in fitness, with the girls as well. You know, we do a lot of kind of positive intentions and reframing. So I think practically I'm quite a practical person. So being able to use these tools and then see the results that come through has been hugely beneficial. And I think just a general more positive way of being you know, is hugely helpful. And you know, I should add as well, and I've shared this with you before, you and Pip, it's you know, you bring the NLP journey together and you make it exciting and practical and beneficial, and it's the experience for me. It's what you feel as you kind of go through all of that and then practically being able to apply it. So you guys kind of make it what it is.
Oh, thank you. That's always good to hear. Thank you very much. So are you running this half marathon for a charity, or are you just, this is for you this time?
This is for me this time. But part of that as well is I'm so mindful that, you know, there may be other events in the future, and I can't. Well, I don't feel comfortable raising funds for every event.
Every single one.
And I know there are so many different events that people do, and I just feel, for this one it will just be. It sounds really selfish, just for me.
No, not at all.
But in the future there will be there'll be a sort of fundraising element, I'm sure. I think perhaps once a year fundraising feels like a nice balance, really, and then I think there are other elements in between, you know.
Yeah. Gosh, listen to you. Amazing. You're already thinking of, you know, next year and the year after. It's fabulous to hear. So Karen, if people would like to get in touch with you or maybe follow you on any social media, how can they go about doing that?
So the main ones really are on Facebook,
Yeah.
and on LinkedIn. Now at
Okay.
this moment, I should be able to cite exactly what that would say, but I can't quite. I never know the carrots and everything, so it's probably better that I put a link. If you share the podcast, perhaps I
Yeah,
can share
yeah.
a link
You can
afterwards,
send
if
me the
that's
link and we
okay.
can with it.
I do have a website as well, and I do update with regards to like things like blogs, but on an ongoing kind of current basis, probably my business Facebook page and my LinkedIn profile are
And I
ways
think
to
your business Facebook page is Casey Learning and Development. I would have thought.
It is. Yes,
Yeah.
it is. Actually, that's
Okay.
probably the easy one to find.
Okay, wonderful. But what we will do, Karen, as you said there, is I'll get all the information from you, and then we can share it all when we put the podcast out, and then everybody.
Fabulous. Lovely. It's exciting. Thank you.
Very exciting. Karen, thank you so much for talking today.
It's a pleasure.
Wonderful. Now you can go and enjoy the summer. Well, I say summer, it looks a little bit grey out there.
I was going to say the forecast is a bit out today at the moment.
Yeah, it is a bit, isn't it? You can go and enjoy the day with your girls and have a great summer. And we look forward to getting those details from you so we can share them to everybody on the podcast.
Lovely. That's great. Thanks ever so much.
You are very welcome. Take care.
Cheers. Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.